Hello and welcome to the video tutorial series by LearnBiz Simulations. In this module, we will teach you some of the classes of Excel functions. We'll cover the Excel mathematical functions in this video. The math functions are provided by Excel to carry out many of the common mathematical calculations which could be grouped into the following categories. Basic mathematical operations like sum, power, etc. Trigonometry functions like cos, cosec, etc. Numeric information like absolute, LCM, etc. Rounding functions like ceiling, floor, round, trunk, etc. Random number functions like rand, rand between, etc. Exponentials and logarithms like exp, ln, etc. Finally, conditional sums like sum if, sum ifs, and some advanced one like sum product. So let us look at the category of basic mathematical operations. The Excel sum function adds together a supplied set of numbers and returns the sum of these values. As can be seen from the examples, it takes arguments as numbers put directly, or as values returned from other functions, or as references to cells or ranges containing numerical values. It can give value error if the supplied arguments cannot be interpreted as numeric values. The product function is exactly similar to the sum function except that it multiplies the supplied number to return the product. Next is the power function. It calculates a given number raised to a supplied power. Both the number and its power can be decimal numbers, as can be seen in the examples. The Excel SQRT function calculates the positive square root of a supplied number. It takes one argument which should result in a non-negative numeric value. The next function is the Excel quotient function, which returns an integer portion of a division between two supplied numbers. Some of the examples are given here. It can give a division by zero error if the denominator is zero. After the quotient, it's time for the remainder. The Excel mod function returns the remainder of a division between two supplied numbers. Note in the examples that the argument could be decimal as well as negative numbers. The Excel subtotal function performs a specified calculation, example sum, product, average, etc., for a supplied set of values based on the type of calculation specified as argument. The table shows the type of calculation based on the value supplied to the function. The example shows how subtotal can be used to calculate the count, average, sum, maximum, and standard deviation of a given set of numbers. Now let's go to some of the trigonometric functions, starting with radians function, which converts the angles in degrees into radians. It is a very important function as most of the trigonometric functions require arguments in radians and not in degrees. While degrees function converts the angles in radians into degrees. It is extensively used along with inverse trigonometric functions. There are functions to calculate the sine, cosine, and tangent of an angle supplied in radians, namely sin, cos, cos, and tan. The example calculates the various values for 30, 60, 90, and 180 degrees. Then there are functions to calculate the inverse sine, cosine, and tangents of a number into an angle in radians, namely a sine, a cos, a tan. The example recalculates the values from previous example into 30, 60, 90, and 180 degrees angles. There are also functions to calculate the hyperbolic sine, cosine, and tangent of the supplied number, namely sin h, cos h, and tan h. In the same lines, there are functions to calculate the inverse hyperbolic sine, cosine, and tangent of the number, namely a sin h, a cos h, and a tan h. The next category is the numeric information functions. Let's look at the simple ABS function under this category. The Excel ABS function returns the absolute value, that is the modulus of any supplied number. Excel also provides the LCM and GCD functions which return the least common multiple and the greatest common divisor of two or more supplied integers. Do note that if any of the supplied numbers are not integers, these values are truncated to numbers. The next set of functions are the rounding functions. Starting with ceiling function. The Excel ceiling function rounds a supplied number up or down, away from 0 to the nearest multiple of a given number. As it can be seen in the examples, the function rounds the first argument to the nearest multiple of the second argument, away from 0. While the XOR function rounds a specified number towards 0 to the nearest multiple of a specified significance, as can be seen in the examples. The Excel int function truncates a supplied number down to the nearest integer smaller than the supplied number, while the Excel round function rounds a supplied number up or down to a specified number of decimal digits. Based on the sign of the second argument, the number is rounded to the left, at, and right of decimal point. While Excel truncate function truncates a supplied number to a specified number of decimal places. Even in this case, based on the sign of the second argument, the number is truncated to the left, at, and right of the decimal point. The next group is the random number functions, which are rand and rand between. The Excel rand function generates a random real number between 0 and 1. It will return a different random number every time the spreadsheet recalculates. One can force a recalculation at any time by pressing the F9 key. Note that you can use the function to generate a random real number between any two specified limits as shown in the example, where the number between 10 and 20 is generated. While the Excel random between function generates a random integer between two given integers. Note that the first argument cannot be greater than the second argument, else it will return a num error. The next category is exponentials and logarithm functions. The Excel exp function calculates the value of the mathematical constant e raised to the power of a given number. The Excel ln function calculates the natural logarithm of a given number. While the Excel log function calculates the logarithm of a given number to a supplied base, the log10 calculates the base 10 logarithm of a given number. Let's look at the conditional sum category. The Excel sumif function finds values in a supplied array that satisfy a given criteria and returns the sum of the corresponding values in a second supplied array. Let's look at an example in detail to understand. The table shows the sales of different teams for different months. Now SUMIF can help you to calculate the total sales for a month across all teams or total sales for a team across different months. If we look closely at the function, the first argument is the range, which is to be evaluated with the criteria, which is the second argument, and the actual sum is done for the third argument. In this case, it is the month of Feb criteria is matched with the cell range and the corresponding sales entry is added to give the total sales in Feb. The Excel SUMIF function is similar to SUMIF, just that in SUMIFs the number get added after satisfying multiple criteria. There is slight change in syntax though, with first argument being the sum range and then followed by groups of criteria range and criteria. While the sum product function returns the sum of the products of the corresponding values in two or more supplied arrays. As can be seen from the example, that the function multiplies the corresponding values in the supplied arrays and then adds them to give the result. Note that the different supplied arrays must be of same length. Also, the non-numeric values in the supplied arrays are treated as the value 0 in the calculations. That's it in this video. We'll continue our Excel video tutorial series in the next video. Thanks for watching. You may visit our website www.learnbizsimulations.com to check out some of our business simulation games for learning and assessment.